This panel has been the subject of intense debate for many weeks. Tonight, finally, they face our audience, the voters. Welcome to Question Time. And with me here in London, Jack Straw, the Justice Secretary, formerly Home and Foreign Secretary, the Conservative Shadow Minister for Community Cohesion, Syeda Warsi, recently named the most powerful Muslim woman in Britain, the man narrowly beaten by Nick Clegg to the leadership of the Liberal Democrats, the party's Home Affairs spokesman, Huhne, the leader of the British National Party, Nick Griffin, and the American-born playwright and deputy chairman of the British Museum, Bonnie Greer. And good evening and welcome, and as ever, the panel haven't seen the questions they're going to be asked tonight, so let's have the very first one from Peter Logg, please. Peter Logg.
Given that the Second World War was fuelled by the need to disarm oppressive and racist regimes, is it fair that the BNP has hijacked Churchill as its own?
Is it fair the BNP has hijacked Churchill? Jack Straw.
It's certainly not fair, and one of the extraordinary things about the Second World War and the First World War was not only that we fought Nazism in the Second World War and defeated it, a party and an ideology based on race, just like another party represented here today, based on race, fundamental to its constitution. And it's that difference, by the way, the fact that the BNP defines itself on race, which distinguishes it from every other political party I can think of. And what is common about every other political party that I can think of, regardless of the differences, is that they each have a moral compass, and they show respect, a recognisable moral compass for them based on long-standing cultural and philosophical and religious values of Western society. Nazism didn't, and neither, I'm afraid, does the constitution of the BNP. The other thing I just say is this. We only won the First World War, and we only won the Second World War because we were joined in those wars by millions of black and Asian people from around the world. My constituency is twinned with a little town in northern France called Péronne. It was massacred in the First World War, the Battle of the Somme. Hundreds of people from East Lancashire, lads from East Lancashire, were killed. If you go to the Péronne Military Cemetery, just outside Péronne, you'll find 577 young men buried there. 257 of those come from East Lancashire. They've got names like Ainsworth and Barnes. The others, more than half, have Indian or Pakistani-sounding names, like Mohammed Khan from the 18th King's Own Lancers,
all right,
or Sheikh Mohammed. These people died together to fight for us.
Okay.
And that's why having a multiracial society and ensuring that race-based politics has no place in our society is fundamental to the decent British values which are held by most people in this country.
Nick Griffin, you said if Churchill were alive today, his own place would be in the British National Party. Why do you say that? And why did you hijack his reputation?
I say that Churchill would belong in the British National Party because no other party would have him for what he said in the early days of mass immigration into this country, for the fact that, quote, they're only coming for our benefit system, and for the fact that in his younger days he was extremely critical of the dangers of fundamentalist Islam in a way which would now be described as Islamophobic. I believe that the whole of the effort in the Second World War and the First was designed to preserve British sovereignty, British freedom, which Jack Straw's government is now giving away lock, stock and barrel to the European Union, and to prevent this country being invaded by foreigners. Finally, my father was in the RAF during the Second World War, while Mr Straw's father was in prison for refusing to fight Adolf Hitler.
Sorry. Wait a minute, what's that got to do with the issue? What's that got to do with the issue?
Mr. Straw was attacking me, and I've been relentlessly attacked and demonised over the last few days. And the fact is that my father was in the RAF during the Second World War. I am not a Nazi. Right. I never have been.
The man there.
Yeah, I would just like to say to Nick Griffin about the whole issue of Europe and how Europe seems to be against Europe, when 80% of our trade is with the European Union.
OK, we may come to that later. We're talking about race issues at the moment. You, sir.
See, I think it's an absolute disgrace that you can't even sort of take on board what Jack Straw has said. Your organisation has been going for over 9,500 days. It's only in the past month or so that you've actually had your hands behind your back and you've been forced to look at accepting people of sort of a different racial and ethnic background. And for just 1 minute, could you not think of the benefits that my parents brought to this country and other parents from an Asian, from an Indian, from a Pakistani background have brought? No. All you're thinking of doing is trying to sort of poison politics. And yes, you are, poison politics and poison the minds of people in this country. The vast majority of this audience, find what you stand for to be completely disgusting and reprehensible. Completely disgusting.
You want to answer that? Briefly, if you would.
Without a shadow of a doubt, I appreciate that if you look at some of the things I'm quoted as having said in the Daily Mail Day and so on, I'd be a monster. Those things are outrageous lies.
Which is the untrue quote that's been said about you? The Holocaust denial, possibly?
The vast majority of them. Far too many to go into, but...
All right, let's just go to denying the Holocaust, for instance. Did you deny the Holocaust?
I
Yes,
did not
you
have
did.
a conviction for Holocaust denial.
But you did deny it. Why are you smiling? It's not a particularly amusing issue.
I was very critical of the way in which the Holocaust was, and is, in fact, abused to prevent serious discussion over immigration.
Just you say you're misquoted. Ethnicity. I want to see Britain become... Wait. Ethnicity. Please, ethnicity. I want to see Britain become 99% genetically white, just as she was 11 years before I was born, on race, right? Mixed marriages. It's sad when a unique human genotype becomes extinct. Islam, we'll come to it later. You say you're misquoted. All I'm saying is, I can't find the misquotations, and apparently nor can you.
No, a misquotation then in the Mail today says that I said that black people walk like monkeys and so on. That is an outrageous lie. And I appreciate you being extraordinarily angry about a statement like that. I never said such a thing. I never said such a thing.
All right, you made your point.
Statements.
All right, let's go on round the table here. Syeda, Warsi.
If I can go back to the question that was asked, I think that any political party which has the values of the BNP does not share the values of Churchill and of our armed forces, and therefore it's disgusting that they should use those images. And I think if I can follow on from what Jack said, there were many people from different coloured backgrounds, different religions, who fought alongside British soldiers to fight fascism. I have my own history, my own family, both my paternal and maternal grandfather served in the Second World War. And at a time when my forefathers were fighting fascism, the BNP's political forefathers were celebrating Nazi Hitler as a hero. And I think today when we're talking about how Churchill is viewed by the BNP, I'd like to just refer to one quote, which I'm going to have some bleeps in, which is from Mark Collett, who's the BNP's Director of Publicity.
He's not.
And he basically said this: Churchill was an effing who led us into a pointless war with other whites, i.e. the Nazis who were standing up for their race. He says things like that about Churchill, he and his party, and then they dare use the image of Churchill in their election leaflets. It's disgusting.
Bonnie Greer.
Listen, I'm not a politician. I don't know anything about politics. My background is culture, and I'm a historian. Nick and I both have undergraduate degrees. Do you have? You have an undergraduate degree in history, right?
In law.
In law. Okay. Okay. The problem with this Churchill thing is the problem with a lot of the history of the British people that Nick Griffin has on his website. You see, Churchill If you look at the constitution of the BNP, I know it's, you know, you have to change it now. That'll be interesting. No, you can laugh, but if I was a BNP member, I'd be scared. You might not do that. The thing is, Churchill's mother was an American. Now, there is hints in her side of the family that they were also possibly Mohawk Indian. Now, if all of this was brought together, Mr. Churchill couldn't have actually been a member of the BNP as it was constituted. That's the absurdity of the whole thing. And you do have to ask yourself a question: what kind of so-called political party is based on an idea of indigenous people? It just doesn't exist.
Okay, let's. I'll come to you, Chris, in a moment. I'll go to some members. The man in the yellow pullover up at the very back row, please.